Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and I'm Mickey B. Fresh.
Hey there, Mickey. Look at that. We were together yesterday, and here we are again today.
Yes, we are. Back from round two, second day.
All right. And yesterday we got together because there were 200,000 people who had signed up around XRP, and that was just historic. And then it was like, what's going to happen today? And here we are, kind of with the price having gone way down. And I know that different people have different thoughts about that. Um, And I guess I want to come back to like, that was amazing that 200,000 people got together and around XRP. And then you wrote something today in the Telegram group that you're a part of. It's like, this isn't a stock. What we're involved in is a network. And as has been said by some of the people in the past, it's the protocol that has the value. So I guess one of the things I like about Mickey is you are eternally optimistic. You're eternally in the process of all of this. So can you kind of just give us a little background, and then we'll talk about this, and then we'll keep moving forward with what there is.
Sure. So at this time, I look at this as right now, you had all these people around XRP, even the 200,000 that came in from this pump group that were excited with XRP, but still at this moment, XRP is still a speculative asset. It doesn't have the retail utility where we could utilize it on the network, on Flare, or on the XRP Ledger's DEX as it's intended to be used. We still haven't got to that point, but one thing is we could see that's coming. And then with like on Flare, on the protocol network Flare, you're going to be able to get yield. So just holding the asset XRP in F asset form, you're going to earn yield. So now the person who's thinking about selling has to think in their head, hey, am I going to sell this? Well, I'm going to lose the yield now if I sell it. So right now, how things are is like, oh, I sell it, I move on to the next asset and try and make money on. You're not losing it and losing the yield. So there's a big difference what's coming in the future. And right now we're all speculation, but once utility comes and yield comes, it's going to really change how everything operates and how
And
the
we had the
market operates.
situation. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Mickey. We had that situation today where people couldn't even get on the exchanges, right? This
Mm-hmm.
morning to take action. And
Mm-hmm.
there's this regulatory piece now with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So one of the things I'm interested in is like exactly what you started talking about. How is the future going to be different? I think today we saw some real limitations about where we presently currently are.
Yes, we did. And we saw a lot of these exchanges, which they call themselves exchanges, many of them, and they're just web hosted databases that are just managing matching engines and IOUs. They're not really like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. And now we have hundreds of these, and the US was locked out for the most part. We had Uphold, where you could have bought from fiat, right? And then you had Bitrue, where US could have bought if they would have moved an asset like XLM or Tether over there to buy. Both of those went down right at 8 a.m., 8:30. Like right as that was supposed to get going, everyone got locked out. So then all of a sudden the price just tumbled, and there was a lot of buying prior to that. But like once again, it's all speculative buying and all speculative in nature. And when you're locking out most of the United States, it's very hard to go through with something like that.
And this was also something that organized really over what, the space of 2, 3, 4 days. So in the way of like Wall Street bets, we talked about that a little bit yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that that took a long time to build up, and there was a lot of education and a lot of commitment to buying and to holding stocks. And here this thing came in 2 or 3 days. Amazing energy around it, and that's what I'm taking away from it. What sticks with me, but that sort of discipline of like knowing what you have in XRP
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what's coming in Flare. I so appreciate that you have really given me a much deeper and better sense of that. So I guess we're back to that task of really, again, just knowing what we have and developing an understanding of it. So keep
Mm-hmm.
helping us out with that, please.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it. And I think that is a great statement you made, knowing what you own, but knowing what you own has changed from 2017 to what it meant in 2018 and what it meant in 2019 and what it meant in 2020 and now what it means in 2021. It's not the same. There was no Flare networks a year ago at this time. So what you owned as XRP was very different. Now you're going to own an asset that could be FXRP and it comes with yield. That doesn't exist with regular XRP at the moment. But you know what? In 2022, another thing might come. So we have to constantly keep learning what we own. It's not like we learn it once and it goes away. And also, like DeFi in general, is just going to get bigger and bigger. So we have to constantly keep learning. And that's me too. I'm learning just like everybody else. And, it's nice that there's a lot of information out there, but there's also a lack of information on certain things. Like we don't have everything with the Flare network, but we're going to very soon. And the more details that are released are going to help us make better decisions in the future. But we have enough information to know this is going to give us utility for XRP, and it's also going to give us storage demand by coming with yield. And now we're going to earn the Spark token, and it's not like, we just get that and sell it. It's like we earn the Spark token for just having FXRP, and now we could delegate the votes from that and earn more Spark. So it's like that feedback loop is just you're earning and earning, and now I could utilize at the same time. These are things you can't do with XRP right now. XRP is like, I speculative, it goes up, it goes down, I take a profit if you want to swing trade. But in the future, it's going to be very different once you could utilize your assets in applications and earn with them. And it's going to be a game changer. And I think it's going to be, a big wake-up call for all of us in the community. Even from me, myself, I could say it. But once it actually happens, I think it's going to be, a big change. And what I'm trying to do is help everyone prepare for that so they're not surprised when it happens.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Mickey, there's a couple of questions in here.
Okay.
Channing is saying, like, any ideas on what the prices are going to be? So we don't know that. But hold this one, Mickey. Like, we know there's a relationship between XRP and FXRP. So that's one thing we can talk about. And then the next question in here is like, can you help me understand how I can hold this asset and still earn? Like you've said it, but like you've also said, it's really a tricky concept to get. How can I hold this asset and earn on it while I have it?
Okay. So let's just answer the first one first with FXRP.
Right, with the price.
Okay, so XRP and FXRP are going to be a 1-to-1. So the price of XRP will always be the price of FXRP on Flare. Now, every other asset, Spark, YFlare, YFin, YMIN, they have zero monetary value until they're released. So there will be no prices until they hit the market. So now the other question, which is how can I earn by just holding this asset? So now there's two assets here. If we're XRP holders, you have your Spark that you're going to receive in an airdrop, and you're going to have your XRP, which you can mint as FXRP. So let's start with Spark. Spark, you're going to get an airdrop. You're going to be able to just hold it and delegate a vote. So out of your non-custodial wallet, you'll be able to delegate this vote to a signal provider who could be an independent entity. It could be an exchange. It could be a bank. It could be any entity. And now they will delegate your vote to the FTSO, which is the Flare Time Series Oracle. And if they provide accurate price feeds, they will be rewarded. And then that reward will be distributed to you in a trustless way. So Hugo told me that they are working on a way to where you earn that reward in a fully trustless manner, where you don't even have to trust the signal provider. It would just be airdropped right to your wallet. Now, what do you actually have to do to delegate? We don't have the details yet of how you actually delegate. So I can't really say, okay, you go in your wallet here, you hit this button for delegate, and that's what you do. We are waiting on that information. But we know what we have to do. We just don't know exactly how to do it yet. But we will soon. And now with FXRP, you would be able to take your XRP and you're going to be able to mint FXRP. You're going to have to pay a fee for doing that, which at launch is going to be 5%. And it's like, wow, that sounds really high at first. It's like, oh, I'm going to pay 5% of my XRP. Yes, because they're incentivizing the agents to put up the collateral that backs this FXRP, which is going to be 2.5 times the value of XRP in the Flare token. Now, once you get your FXRP minted, you'll be able to earn then by doing nothing and absolutely risk free, just holding your FXRP, you'll earn daily rewards in Spark tokens. So that will more than compensate you the fee that you had to pay initially. And it's going to be massive in the beginning. Like, they haven't said a specific percentage, but it's going to be very high because the less people are going to participate in the beginning, and from there more people are going to participate. So the highest amount of rewards are going to be paid to those who participate in the beginning. And when I say participate, like I said, it's just delegating a vote or for a Spark token or just holding your F asset.
Okay, and so just like how these rewards are going to be so big in the beginning, we're going to start getting 100% of the rewards that Flare is going to be giving right at the beginning. They're going to be giving out 100% of their rewards. So to get a sense of this, they're going to be giving it to just 15% of our receiving our Spark in the beginning. So we're going to have just a little bit of Spark in there receiving the full amount of the reward. So I know you talk about it being massive, but if you just think about that right in the beginning, when we only have 15% of the reward, we're going to be getting 100%, I mean 15% of the Flare of the airdrop, we're going to be getting 100% of the reward. So compared to when all of it's airdropped out, we're going to start out getting 6 times the amount compared to later on. Plus, only the people who are delegating their votes or minting FXRP are going to be getting that in the beginning. So by taking the time and learning this stuff, getting familiar with it, it's a huge advantage. Go ahead, Mickey.
Yes, it is. And to bring that point even further, I just want to clarify that for the Spark rewards coming from your Spark token, that's part of the FTSO inflation rewards. And that's what Lars was talking about. So they're paying out 10% of the total supply, which is 10 billion for the first 6 months. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be so high for the Spark holders. And now there's a separate rewards pool for the F assets. So that will have that 25 to 30 billion in it. That's to pay the rewards for all the F asset holders. So we have the inflation rewards coming from the Flare Time Series Oracle and providing the price feeds, paying to Spark holders. Then we have the F asset general rewards pool paying to all the F asset holders. So we have 2 methods of where the rewards are coming from for 2 different types of assets. One for Spark, one for the F assets. So now that incentivizes us as XRP holders, we're also going to be Spark holders, to be able to utilize those and earn those. So now we'll also be able to utilize those assets on Flare, which on like Ethereum 2.0, Cardano, and other networks, you can't utilize the token simultaneously and earn. And I think that's a really big value proposition for Flare and for the applications that get built on it. So if you're going to build an application on Ethereum 2.0, you're going to know that a lot of those tokens are going to get locked up because that's what the validators are going to want those to earn rewards. Where on Flare, you don't need to lock up the tokens to earn rewards. You could still earn rewards and utilize those tokens in other applications and DeFi and security tokens. I mean, DEXs. There's so many different applications that are going to be built, and it's something you're not going to be able to see the same applications built on those proof of stake networks.
So it's there's a question here from Jason, and I think like you're talking about this world that we're coming into, and Jason has a question about the world of today, and I think it kind of relates. He says, "Hi, Mickey and gang, I'd love to know your views regarding today's fiasco. Are you confident that the exchanges can handle all of the Flare and Spark that will be moving around?"
That's a good question. I don't think we need to be confident because it's all going to happen on the Flare network, and that's separate from these exchanges. The focus has to shift away from the exchanges. All this activity that I'm talking about, none of it happens on the exchanges. It happens on Flare networks. And then with things like Flare X, we're going to be able to swap from FXRP to Spark right on the Flare network. So if the exchanges are up, down, backwards, whatever they're doing, it doesn't matter, because you're always going to be able to go from one asset to another asset on the Flare network, and even into stablecoins. You might not be able to go directly into your fiat bank account, but you'll be able to go from different assets that are on there, regardless if the exchanges are up or not. And I do agree, I am worried that the exchanges, because they're built on poor technology. I mean, they go down every time. They're just web-hosted websites that just have a matching engine in a database. That's all it is. These are DeFi. These are protocols built on distributed ledger technology. That's where the robustness is, not on these exchanges. And the activity shouldn't be on the exchanges. It's on the networks. So if we're invested in the protocols, we might as well utilize the networks and the protocols for their robustness and not have to count on these exchanges. Yeah, the exchanges pull the price feeds. That's where they come from. But the actual trading could happen on Flare and on the XRP Ledger DEX in the future. And the applications are on the Flare network. So you don't really need to rely on these exchanges for the market to develop in the future. And I don't think we should.
Again, it's just the enormous change that's coming. And right now we're kind of related to that, right? We're dealing with, where do we even store the tokens that we own, the XRP? Do we put it on cold storage, or do we have it on exchanges, or different things like that? And you've talked a little bit about, but that's more huge changes that are coming as well, right?
Yes. Well, you know what? Speaking of the cold storage, they're actually making some great technology. Like Toho Labs is going to allow you to keep your assets in cold storage and still be able to utilize it and delegate your vote and earn. So you'll still have the protection of cold storage, and then you'll be able to utilize it and participate with that same safety. If you choose to, you could also choose to continue to keep it on an exchange like Bitstamp or Bitrue, if they support the integration into Flare and allow you to delegate your votes, and even if you want to stake your Spark with the agents and then earn the underlying asset. But there'll be options. So if you want to keep on cold storage, you can. If you want to keep with the exchange, you can. And some exchanges will offer bundling services. So that's what I like about Flare, is that there's flexibility for everyone. It doesn't have to just conform to one way. And Toho Labs is building the wallet app. I don't know if they're building the actual wallet, but they are building the wallet app for Ledger Nanos, and I think for Decent and for EpiPal too. So that's something to keep an eye on. We don't have the full details, but that's nice to know that you could keep your assets in their keys in cold storage and still participate. It's a pretty big value proposition on the safety and with no risk to your tokens.
So there's questions in here about how are we going to receive the airdrop, and how's it going to come over the various months and stuff like that. And I think what I'm hearing from you is a lot of that we don't really know exactly yet how that's going to work, but there's a big transition into the smoothness of how this is going to work, and we need to be very attentive now, because we're in that transition time from the way we used to think to the way we will think. So maybe you could give us a few words on that.
Yeah, so Mike Crowley has a question here. Mickey, if I tie up my XRP to make FXRP, can I still claim the DFlare airdrop? Good question. So your XRP is completely unrelated to the airdrop for DFlare. The DFlare airdrop is regarding your Spark holdings. So it's going to take a snapshot of your Spark once you get them, and then it will give you accordingly, I think it's 1,200 to 1 ratio of DFlare. So it doesn't matter what your XRP you do with it, convert it to FXRP, it's irrelevant. It's only taking a snapshot of your Spark tokens. Then it will give you the according amount of DFlare. So you could do whatever with your XRP. Hopefully that answers that question. And then you got to convert your DFlare to YFlare on Flare X, but they'll be providing details of that. That'll be roughly a month after the Flare network goes live, and that's part of Flare Finance.
And so just these terms like deflare,
Mm-hmm.
deflare and
Mm-hmm.
Y-flare and all those things, right? It just takes a while to sort of get them in our heads. So just again, appreciation that you'll keep talking this through with us.
Yes.
And as this time gets closer and closer, there's certainly other people talking about this and are going to be giving specific information, specific videos, specific documents.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have all the information, but the more time we can spend with it, the more familiar we can become with it. Really, what an advantage we're gaining right now by spending the time on it.
Yes, I mean, we're going to continue talking about this, and the more we get out there for others discussing it, and as you learn more, then you can help educate somebody else. Because it's nice that we have this couple months to be able to prepare for something that's such a big transition for us. And we're not used to as XRP community. Me too. Like, this was all new, and we had to learn. But once you really do understand it and learn it, you're going to then want to help somebody else. And I think that's the whole point of the community aspect. And now Flare takes it to a next level because now we become citizens of this network. So now our tokens don't only give us a Flare Time Series Oracle vote, it also gives us a governance vote. So now we can participate and we guide the network for where it goes. So it's not like, oh, are they going to add another F asset? It's like, no, we decide if another F asset is added or not. And then we could have that discussion amongst the community. And I think that's something that's really new to us when we've always counted on Ripple or counted on, different entities and knowing what's going on RippleNet. Now it's like we're in control. And I think that's a good feeling as a community that's called an army to give them citizenship. I think it's very powerful. And I think we'll be able to make a big difference in the future and possibly the future of the financial system if Flare gets that big.
Yeah. And I mentioned yesterday how I don't normally read the white papers, but I've taken the time to read them all about both Flare and Flare Finance. But I wanted to say that I've been able to be a part of the Flare Finance beta test that's been going on the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of weeks, and it just ended. I wanted to say two things. One is that they're going to do a public beta. And so when that becomes available, I'm sure you're going to hear about it various places, but I'm sure, Mickey, you'll let people know. The value of that for me was to get in there and start pushing buttons. Um, and once you start pushing the buttons and seeing what's happening, like, oh my gosh, instead of having to go to an exchange, I can just change this one token for another one, and boom, it's done. And there's something called liquidity pools where you put in the same amount of value of each token and you create this liquidity pool. And the number of tokens inside of it are going to change. The value is
Mm-hmm.
always going to be half and half, and you keep the same value, but the relative proportions of the tokens changes. Now that's a really amazing concept, and it was hard for me to grasp. But when you get in there and you push the buttons, pretty soon it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is what's happening. So when that public beta comes out, if you get a chance to be a part of it,
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend it.
Yes, we'll be covering that on this channel. So now that it's going to be public, did they say a date yet when that's going to be, Lars?
I haven't heard about it. The private one, the invitation only one, just finished actually last night.
And what did they reward the winners with? I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, there's something called a samurai token, and at first I had no idea that had any monetary value. I thought it would just be an honor to get it, and it's actually of the profits of the network, and there's various pieces on that, but they're going to give you a very small percentage of that. So we're actually going to be gaining a reward for the
Mm-hmm.
Flare Finance Network because we participated. They're going to give more of those out in the public beta test. So there's an advantage or an added reward for taking part in it.
So that's like an NFT, a non fungible token, right?
That's correct,
And then
right?
it has certain
Which,
benefits that come with it. And that's another topic that's really new to us is NFTs. And there's a lot of excitement in Flare with gaming and now with Flare Finance coming with the NFTs where they allow different types of capabilities for tokens. They're not just, okay, this has monetary value and it goes up or down. Now this asset, right? I guess we could call it that, non-fungible
Right.
token, comes with the ability to earn a percentage of all the profits that come on Flare Finance, right?
That's right. And again, it goes back to what Mickey's talking about, but you can see here how these new platforms are really being built to incentivize certain behaviors. They're being built to have us participate in ways that make these networks become stronger and more effective at what they want to do. And when you go back to Flare, they really, really, really want to have the best prices on the planet, the
Mm-hmm.
most accurate, decentralized prices. And so they built a system that's incentivized to get that result. So this little token that we got with the Samurai token there, it's just another example of being able to create incentives in these systems.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And I just want to clarify what Flare Finance is for everybody. So Flare Finance is a DeFi protocols. It's 6 different protocols built on top of Flare networks. So they have no relation to Flare Network Limited, who's building Flare, but it's going to be built on top of. So you're going to see a lot of marketing and different material coming at you from Flare Finance because they're an application. And you won't see that coming from Flare Networks. They're going to be very neutral and they're going to actually be a participant in the network. But all these applications that get built, now Flare Finance is just one. We're going to see gaming, we're going to see security tokens, maybe real estate, and other applications that are going to appeal and they're going to market to us as a community and as users. So just be prepared for that and understand that Flare networks themselves, we are Flare networks. So I just want everyone to understand we are Flare networks, and the applications that get built on it will be marketing to us as users. And I love what Flare Finance is doing. I think that their marketing strategy is great. I think their products that they built, they've created basically the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem all in one. It's like Uniswap, Compound, MakerDAO in a way, and what's the other one? Yearn Finance, all in one product suite, and they're working them all together. So instead of having to make Lego blocks like this one has to work with that one and you got to fit it in, they're making it fit from the beginning. So that's going to allow the adoption to happen really fast. And us as FXRP holders and as Spark holders, Flare X is going to give us a alternative to the exchanges. So we don't have to count on if Coinbase is going to be up or Uphold's going to go down or Bitrue's going to go down. We know that if we want to move from Spark to FXRP to a stablecoin to YFlare, we could do all that in a trustless way without having to count on an exchange's servers being up or down. And I think that's a big value proposition going in when these exchanges have showed they can't stay up when there's high volume.
Right. And you were just talking a lot about Flare Finance,
Mm-hmm.
but you started out by saying Flare itself is going to be rather quiet. And I know when we were kind of going through this and like trying to wrap our heads around it, there came this moment where we realized, we sort of us who hold XRP, we kind of thought XRP is sort of the center of the universe. For how everything's going to work and money is going to move via XRP. So it's going to kind of be at the center. All value will pass through it. And it was like, yes. And then it's like, oh my gosh, we just went from this idea of the earth is flat to, wow, Flare isn't just a planet in the system, but it's almost like Flare is the center of the solar system. Like Flare is the sun to this whole system. And it's just this quiet thing that sits
Mm-hmm.
there and everything orbits around it. XRP's value will be used as the moving of currencies, different blockchains, different planets revolving around Flare. And Flare Finance, one of these applications revolving around Flare. And Flare is this really quiet thing that sets a price and it
Mm-hmm.
gathers the value of all of these different assets.
It's really amazing what they did. I mean, they built the Oracle system right into the network so everyone could use it. Um, Somebody just asked if the Samurai token is pegged to XRP or Flare. The Samurai token has no monetary value. It's a non-fungible token, which allows it. It's just one token for right, Lars. It's one token.
It's one NFT, right?
It's one
One token.
NFT. So what it does is it allows that person to earn a percentage of rewards. So this goes to show not everything needs to have monetary like price value up and down and be speculative to be valuable. And I think we're going to see more and more of this because speculation, drives hysteria sometimes, and it's not always the best thing. And when utility and other and like coming with it's basically a non-fungible token coming with yield, it gets a percentage of all the fees. And now that's a valuable thing to have, but you don't need it going up and down, up and down, up and down in price to be valuable. I want to touch on Jason's question here, which was very good. He asked, how are we going to get KYC, AML, and compliance onto the Flare network? Where was it here? This was a good question. And I have, I think, a good answer for what I think is coming. Where is it? Oh, it's moving slow. All right. So to be able to get KYC, AML onto the Flare networks, they're going to be using PayString. So like PayID, you're going to have like Mickey B. Fresh at, ripplex.com. And now that will be your domain name address, and I'll be able to attach that to then a real world identity. And then when I want to send my tokens to, say, Coinbase, they could verify my PayID address and verify that it's linked to this global identity, which is my real world identity. And now I could still use Mickey B. Fresh with anybody else. They don't need to know my identity, but I could still use that with an exchange.
All right. So as we listen to this opening up for us, I hope it's beginning to get just a little bit more familiar, the terms and stuff. It would be really nice if folks would keep putting their questions in. We can look at them, and when we come back next time, we can talk some more about those things. I know, Mickey, you had another thing that you've been super excited about today. You even put a video together for us for afterwards. And why don't we shift there? It's an exciting topic.
Yes. So right before we did this live stream, I put together a nice little video, and I thought this is a topic that's on the minds, I think, of everybody, maybe second to price, is the XRP escrow. And I know this has been a hot topic of discussion, especially with the SEC lawsuit and what's going to happen with that 45 billion escrowed XRP that Ripple controls once it gets released every month. And without going into too much detail of the video, and it's only 12 minutes, it's not that long, but it does jump into some good details of alternate possibilities than the ones that have been discussed. And I relate it to Flare and why the escrow isn't just monetary value in dollar value. Like I could, pay off debt with it. I mean, there's other ways to utilize the escrow that's going to incentivize behavior in the network and boost the adoption and the liquidity, I think, of XRP.
All right, so you're going to put that video out
Yes.
a little later.
It's just part one of a longer series. So I'm going to dive into this further and further. There might not be a video every day on it, but we're going to continue the series. So we could further build on it each video.
All right, and there's a lot of great questions here in the stream that we're not going to be able to get to right now, but we're going to look through those. And I want to let everybody know that Patty, XRP, has been working really hard on the DeFiStandard.com and just accumulating as much information over there as possible for us to learn. We're archiving these videos and a lot of different things from different sources. It's going to be super valuable for you, for all of us really, to be over there and staying in touch with that. Mickey, I know you're committed to continuing making these educational videos for us and these live streams. So if you would, in your comments before you go, put what it is, your big questions and what you most want to hear from us. We'll be back soon. Is that right, Mickey?
Yes, we will. And I'll be continuing to make different types of videos. So I'll have educational, live streams, some escrow discussion, some daily news discussion. We're going to try and cover everything. But the best resource for the educational is the DeFiStandard.com. Patty's done a fantastic job compiling all the information. And if you have others that you brought into this that you want to help them to understand, I think pointing them to the DeFiStandard.com is a very good resource.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. So, my takeaway from these last couple days is I saw a Telegram group go from 0 to 200,000 people that were interested in XRP. That to me is amazing and a sign of, just really surprising how much interest there was in it. And with everything you're talking about that's coming together, I I have committed to putting as much energy as I can into understanding it, and I'm thankful we have a community that's doing that. So, Mickey, if you got anything else to say, please do it. Otherwise, you can let us go.
Sure, absolutely. Somebody just wrote the question that Flare Farm will need an ASIC. That's not the case. Anyone will be able to use Flare Farm on a basic level, no matter what hardware you're running. All right, that's about it. Join us again for another live stream in a couple days. We'll be back, and it was great talking to you, Lars. And please leave your questions in the comments of the videos. I will get to them, and I will be doing a video that will answer all the questions, as many as I can. All right?
All right. Who are you and where are you going?
I'm Mickey B. Fresh, and I'm out.
All right. Thanks, Mickey. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care.